If the New York Giants are going to get to 3-3 and beat the Cincinnati Bengals on Sunday Night Football, it will be because I'll tell you why coming up in a second. But I want everyone to light up the comment section. Let me know. Who do you got? Who is going to win the football game on Sunday Night Football under the bright lights at MetLife Stadium? The New York Giants, the Cincinnati Bengals? Type your answers in the comment section right now. You're watching Giants Now by Chat Sports. I am your host, Marshall Green. Appreciate everybody for stopping by. I've got 4 things the New York Giants must do if they want to walk out of MetLife Stadium on Sunday night and be 3-3. Number 1, Daniel Jones has his best game of the year. If Daniel Jones comes out and does what he did against the Seattle Seahawks, if he can replicate that performance on Sunday night, the Giants are going to be 3-3. You know why? Because the Cincinnati defense is a joke. They allow 2.73 points per drive, 30th in the NFL. They allow 35.8 yards per possession, 26th in the NFL. And they allow a third down conversion rate of 47.5, 31st in the NFL. There is no excuse for the New York Giants to not put up points this week. When you talk about this Cincinnati Bengals defense, it is bad. It's not good. They allow 29 points per game, the 31st in the NFL. They allow 365.4 yards per game, 26th in the NFL. They allow 214 passing yards, 19th in the NFL. And they allow 151.4 rushing yards, 30th in the NFL. Daniel Jones should be in store for a big week if he could just do what he did against the Seahawks. I also think we could see Daniel Jones use his legs some this week. The Cincinnati Bengals allow 32.8 rushing yards per game to opposing quarterbacks. That's 31st in the National Football League. Lamar Jackson had 55. Jaden Daniels, 39. Jacoby Brissett had 32. And Patrick Mahomes had 29. We saw Daniel Jones in that zone read option offense going to work a little bit last week against the Seattle Seahawks. I want to see him again use his legs to pick up that hidden yardage. Look, the Giants offense has to show up this week. The Cincinnati Bengals defense stinks, but more importantly, the Cincinnati Bengals offense is one of the best in the National Football League, and they're going to be able to score points. If you think that the Giants are going to be able to hold the Bengals to 7, to 10, to 13, to 16, the Bengals are going to score more than 17 points. Giants are going to have to score. This is going to be a shootout, I believe, and I think the team that potentially has the ball last might win this football game. Another key, if the Giants are going to beat the Cincinnati Bengals, you got to get Joe Burrow on the ground. I don't want pressures. I want sacks. I'm tired of this pressure stat. Get him on the ground. Joe Burrow has bounced back in a major way this year after the first game of the season. And the offense for the Bengals is starting to heat up. In games the Bengals have played this year, the average is 57 points, meaning their point total with the other team's point total. Put together, on average, it's 57 points. That's the number 1 highest point total per game in the NFL. The offense for Cincinnati, they average 2.94 points per drive. Number 3 in the NFL. They average 38.4 yards per possession. Number 3 in the National Football League. And you got to get Joe Burrow on the ground. Think about it like this. The New York Giants sack rate on defense, number 1 in the NFL. 14% of the time, the New York Giants are getting a sack. Whereas the Cincinnati Bengals, they are getting sacks at just 3.9%, 31st in the NFL. The Giants have to get pressure on Joe Burrow. And honestly, pressure is not enough. They got to hit Joe Burrow. They got to put him on the ground. They got to pick Joe Burrow up after these plays. Because if you just let him sit in the pocket, he's going to find a way to avoid the pressure and make plays. A couple of advanced analytics right here. When the Giants have created pressure this year, they have allowed a completion percentage of 39%, third best in the NFL. And they allow 3.8 yards per attempt, 5th in the NFL. When the Giants have not gotten to the quarterback, they allow 8.4 yards per attempt, 30th in the NFL and a league-high 83.6 completion rate. What does that tell me? That when the Giants get pressure, they're really good on defense. When the Giants don't get pressure, they get lit up. I don't want pressures. I want sacks. Shout out to John Gruden. You got to get Joe Burrow on the ground. You need Brian Burns to show up. You need Dexter Lawrence to show up. You need Azeez Ojulari to show up. And when McFadden gets called on a blitz, when Okereke gets called on a blitz, get him on the ground. I don't want to hear about pressures. I want sacks. Think about it like this. When Burrow has been pressured the past 4 weeks, he leads the NFL with 12.2 yards per pass attempt and a 67.7% completion percentage. Pressure's not going to be enough. This man's completing nearly 68% of his passes for 12 yards per attempt when pressures. I don't want sacks. Get him on the ground. And then you got to win in the red zone. That's how you got to win this game. The team that wins the red zone battle is going to win this football game. Good teams score 6. Bad teams settle for field goals. And the Giants have been a bad team in the red zone so far this year. The Giants are scoring red zone touchdowns on just 43.7% of the red zone trips this year, 26th. Whereas the Bengals, when they get to the red zone, they score at the 5th best rate in the National Football League, 68.7% of trips. You gotta get 7 when you get to the red zone this week, Daniel Jones. What about on defense? Giants are a great red zone defense. They allow touchdowns on just 45.4% of red zone trips, 9th best in the NFL. Whereas the Bengals, they allow touchdowns at a 66.6% clip when opposing teams get into the red zone, 25th in the NFL. Giants' red zone offense hasn't been good, but they're playing a bad red zone defense. Make them pay. You score 6 in the red zone and you don't settle for field goals, you're going to have a chance to go beat the Bengals on Sunday Night Football. I've got one more key to victory for the New York Giants, but first, make sure you are hooked up with your Malik Nabers jersey. Maybe Travis Scott has one. Chatsports.com/Nabers. Chatsports.com/Nabers. Get your jersey. Let's go. This one might be the biggest one of them all. Deonte Banks versus Jamar Chase. Are the banks going to be open or are the banks going to be closed? Because Jamar Chase, the last 3 weeks of the season, has been on fire. Off to a slow start, coming off a contract dispute, trying to get the bag, did not work. What about week 3 against the Commanders? Cooked. What about week 4 against the Panthers? Cooked. What about week 5 against the Baltimore Ravens? He cooked. If Jamar Chase cooks Deonte Banks, the Giants' chances of winning this game might just be cooked. And Banks has had more downs than ups this year. He had a great game against the Seattle Seahawks in week 5. Here is Pro Football Focus grades. He had the best coverage grade of his career in week 5 at 87.8. But the weeks before that, 55, 46, 49, 59, 47 and a half. Banks has been targeted 31 times this year. He's allowed 18 catches for 276 yards and 4 touchdowns. If Deonte Banks struggles in coverage, whether it's against Jamar Chase, whether it's against T. Higgins, the Giants are going to be in for a long game. This offense for Cincinnati is explosive. We showed you their stats. Man, you got to make it tough on him. And if Deonte Banks under the bright lights can show up and show out and play like he did against DK Metcalf, Giants are going to be in a good spot to win this game. If you want to beat the Bengals, hit that thumbs up icon. Let's get the good vibes rolling. Like the video, smash the thumbs up icon, and let's get to 3-3. Make sure you are following me on social media. I'm on Twitter at @MarshallGreen_, Instagram at @MarshallGreen_. Hit me up over there, and let's go Big Blue.